Hey guys, welcome to JPT. I'm Carson G, and this is Just Plain Tech. In today's video, I know this has been long overdue, but we finally got the Raspberry Pi. I know. I promised this video when I got 15 subscribers, and now I have 59 subscribers. Yeah, I should have planned that out better, but I didn't, and here we are. At least it's here. So, this is actually it. It is so small. It, fits in my hand perfectly. Oh my gosh. This is even smaller than I thought it would be. It's like the size of 2 quarters. So, let's take a look at it. Here we got our SD card reader, which is actually the hard drive. Well, the SD card serves as the hard drive for your Raspberry Pi. Here we got a mini HDMI port. Here we got a mini USB port, and then a mini USB port, which is the power port. Alright. And we got our ARM CPU right there, which is what I'm going to guess. I don't even know where the RAM would be on this thing. And we got a camera thing right here. And these things right here for touchscreen or whatever else you have on there. So, and of course, we're going to need a way to hook this up. So, we have the Raspberry Pi, we have a mini HDMI to HDMI adapter that you would plug in right here. Now, we would, if your monitor supports HDMI, you would just plug it in with the cord, but since the monitor we're using today doesn't support HDMI, I had to get another adapter which will convert HDMI to VGA. Well, actually I already have this adapter, so mini HDMI to HDMI to VGA into the monitor. That's just to get the display hooked up. Here, let's see. I have a 32 gigabyte micro SD card that we will put right here. Make sure that's locked in tight. Okay, there we go. And now, to hook up a mouse, I got a USB cord. However, I didn't get a USB Y jack, so I could hook up a keyboard and a mouse at the same time. So I kind of have to switch them out, but it's better than nothing. What else? Oh yeah, so we're going to plug that in. As you can see, I don't know if you can see, but right here we actually have labels. We got power in and then USB. So we're actually gonna plug it into this one, because this one is the power adapter. It just uses a standard Android power adapter. Well, mini USB, but most of you would probably refer to as the charger for an Android phone. And something else you need, obviously, is an old mouse you got from the garage. And, give me a sec, an old keyboard from your garage. Okay, so now we would get our Android charger. And we would plug this end right here. Done. Then we would plug this into a power outlet. And to make our adapter work, I'll plug this into the VGA on the other end of the monitor. We'll have to get an aux for audio output. And again, another Android charger for the power input of our adapter. Okay. Now we have all the cords and adapters we need. Let's go hook this baby up. Okay, so you're going to want to get on your Linux PC. I highly recommend that you use Linux to do this, assuming you already have Linux installed on your PC or have some access to Linux. I'd prefer an Ubuntu or Debian-based distro. For example, I'm using Zorin OS, which is based on Ubuntu, as I don't know if this tool is available on CentOS or Slackware-based distros, Red Hat Slackware. But you'll want to install Raspberry Pi Imager. I already have it installed, but that is a useful software you will want to install. So once you open it, we're going to choose our operating system here. You have all these other... Ubuntu is only Ubuntu Core and Server, not Ubuntu Desktop. I would do the Raspberry Pi OS Desktop for beginners. That's what I'm going to do, I guess. We're going to do our SD card, and then whenever we are ready, we would click Write. Okay, so here we are on Raspberry Pi OS. I would screen record it, but this is the $5 Raspberry Pi computer, so we don't actually have a Wi-Fi chip on here, because this is not the Raspberry Pi W, it's the regular Raspberry Pi Zero, so doesn't actually have a Wi-Fi chip, so I couldn't download a screen recording software. I mean, I could put it on my SD card, I guess, but then I'd have to get all the dependencies myself, and I don't really want to do that. So, but I may figure out how to do it in a future video, but as of right now, I don't actually know how to screen record on this, since I can't use the internet to download the software. So, yeah. I did customize the system a little bit. We have our file manager here. Really, all I customized is this window top bar thing. And I customized the menu a little bit. Really, since this doesn't actually have an onboard Wi-Fi chip, only the Raspberry Pi Zero W does, that's why I took away the internet section, since there's nothing useful there. So, we got our file manager, which I actually put movies and music on here. If it will open, oh yeah, here it is. Didn't expect that. So see, here's all our movies and music. I don't have this hooked up to a speaker right now, so I actually cannot play those files right now, but I'll just try opening a JPEG, I guess. And there we go, our JPEG image. Let's see if we can customize the desktop. Desktop preferences. Let's try changing our, maybe we'll change it to balloon. Change our wallpaper, okay. So it looks like that's a hot air balloon. Let's see what else we have. Canyon, islands, that one looks good. Yeah, not as good as I thought. Let's try one more thing. One more, what do you call it? Wallpaper. Let's try sand. It's probably gonna be like a deserty dune thing. Or not. Okay, so we got that. Let's see what else we have on our desktop preferences. I want to see if we can pin apps to this. So this is a Debian-based distro. So you can install Debian apps on here, at least if you had the Wi-Fi card on this chip. So let's see what it comes with. I don't actually know what any of that does. We got the VLC media player, image viewer, got package install, software install, archiver, a calculator. So by default we got a file manager. Oh, and it's actually calculator, not calculator. I think this is like GNOME calculator or something like that. I'm not actually sure. Let's see what else. Archiver, yeah, the file manager, PDF viewer, diagnostics, SD card copier. So it looks like we can actually copy our SD card. Our task manager. So as you can see here, this is a pretty light desktop distribution, considering this is an ARM. This is a $5 computer with only around 512 megabytes of RAM, and that CPU usage isn't too bad. So, I mean, considering the specs of this computer. We have a terminal, which, oh yeah, I forgot to use it. I'd actually have to plug in the keyboard. So just let me do that real quick. Alright, so I'm gonna go get the keyboard. And now we'd actually have to unplug the mouse and put the keyboard in. So now I can actually type. Let's see. Free M. Okay. Oh wow, that's surprising. It looks like. Oh yeah, there's no mouse. I have to plug the mouse back in. So it looks like we have a yeah. So that's kind of 512. I was surprised we have swap, actually. It looks like it made a swap file of 99 megabytes of swap. We should have at least a gigabyte, but, okay, so, alright, let's see what we can do. We could make another swap partition if we wanted to. I wonder if this thing has Gparted, but it doesn't show up on the menu, so I don't actually think it has it. But we can always try. And the command is not found. That means that we do not have a Gparted. And if you wanted to install it, you'd have to put the package on. Now, this is just a $5 Raspberry Pi computer. If you want the same thing but with Wi-Fi, you could get the Raspberry Pi Zero W, which is the same thing, but it's $10 actually, and it includes Wi-Fi and Bluetooth compatibility. A Wi-Fi and Bluetooth chip, while this actually doesn't include a Wi-Fi and Bluetooth chip. Or you could get the Raspberry Pi 3 or 4, which has like 3 or 4 USB ports, still boots from an SD card, I think. You actually have a choice of RAM. Instead of having 512 megabytes, I think you have a choice of 2 gigabytes, 4 gigabytes, and possibly 8 gigabytes of RAM. So if you would prefer more RAM, why is it? Oh yeah, that's not gonna work. That is not gonna work. So yeah, you could actually have your choice of RAM, more ports, a headphone jack, and it's just like $35 depending on how much RAM you get. It would be a little more expensive, but it would, if you want all that I/O and better, higher specs, it would probably be worth it, honestly. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Would I actually recommend this computer, and for who? If you're a normal computer user who just uses it to get what they need done and honestly knows nothing about computers, this probably won't be the option for you. But if you like to build projects or experiment with things, especially with technology, especially with tech stuff, would I recommend this? Heck yeah! I mean, I love this thing. I mean, sure, you're gonna have to get some adapters to hook it up, but if you pay just a little more money, $20 extra, something like that, for the Raspberry Pi 4 or 3, or maybe even the 2 or 1, I think 3 and 4 come with a built-in Wi-Fi adapter with Bluetooth, and the 1 and 2 don't. So if you want Wi-Fi, you might want to get the Raspberry Pi 4, so, or 3, I guess. But it will also come with 4 actual USB ports, so you wouldn't have to get an adapter like this, like you would if you got the Raspberry Pi Zero. Although it would be a little bigger, this taking up about half the palm of your hand. The normal one would take about the full palm of your hand, but that's not that much bigger. But honestly, it depends on what you're using it to. If you're trying to make a full-scale computer out of this for average daily use, I would probably recommend the other Raspberry Pi 4. But if you're using it for like a simple project, like even like a little portable gaming machine with a touchscreen or something, I would probably recommend the Zero. Because let's be honest, phones don't really have, like, normal phones don't even have any ports besides the charging port anyway. I mean, taking away the headphone jack is kind of getting people upset. Anyway, but, so I would recommend it. Obviously, you can't run all the operating systems on this, especially, like, Windows is not going to happen, people. Linux is probably your only choice if you're getting a Raspberry Pi. Windows doesn't even support the ARM architecture, I'm not sure. I'm not actually sure if Windows supports ARM, but it only has 512 megabytes of RAM and a 32-bit processor. While you may be able to run on Windows on the Raspberry Pi 4 8 gigabytes, you'll have to install it on an SD card. And that might be kind of a pain, because it's not easy to do that with Windows. I think there is a firmware out with some of the newest models of the Raspberry Pi 4 that actually support USB booting, so you could actually install Windows on an external hard drive and run it from there, but it's not worth your time or your money, guys. The only option here is pretty much Linux. There are lots of Linux distributions out there, like, and you don't need a Class 10 SD card. This was just an old SD card that I had lying around. Linux distributions out there that support this I think Slackware supports it. There's Slackware ARM Edition versions of Puppy Linux, also known as Puppies, may support it. Raspbian, obviously. I think Ubuntu Mate supports the ARM architecture, which is kind of interesting. And obviously there are more out there, but I'm not going to name all of them. But bottom line, this is a really nice computer for a cheap and affordable price. Obviously, if you're looking for something nicer, you might want to get the other version of the Raspberry Pi, the Raspberry Pi 4, the Raspberry Pi 3 with more RAM. If you're looking for gaming, probably the Raspberry Pi 4, the Raspberry Pi 3. Anyway, so yeah, I'm so sorry this video was overdue. I knew it took a long time to make this, to get this to even come, but it did come, and now this video is finally out. I am actually looking forward to future videos with this Raspberry Pi. I will be installing other operating systems, possibly doing a multi-boot of different operating systems on here, and just using this thing for fun little projects on this channel. So if you don't want to miss out on those, definitely be sure to subscribe. Hit those notifications so you don't miss anything. We'd love to see you in our next video. I actually don't post on Sunday, so it'll actually be on Monday is when our next video will be. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely be sure to subscribe if you like this video and you'd like to see more like it. We'll see you next time.